I hope you are well to begin with. Story takes place in Italy in 2021, more precisely in a small agricultural town of 13,000 inhabitants, located in Joining. But before we dive into the heart of the matter, let me tell you about the Abbas family, and more specifically Samani. Saman from Shabara Abbas, 43 and 46 years old. She has a 15-year-old little brother, who we will call Zain, since his identity is protected. Shabar Abbas left Pakistan to settle in Italy in the early 2000s. He found a job as agricultural workers on a farm in Nouvelle Ara, which allowed him to support his restaurant family in Pakistan. Makes a request for family reunification so that his family joins him. His wife, Nazia, and therefore their two children, Saman, who was 13 years old at that time, and his little brother Zain, who was 10. The Abbas family has rather integrated into New Aram. Chabar is a hard worker. His wife, Nancy, is more discreet. They are rarely from home. They mainly take care of children, but in the neighborhood we don't hear much about them. They are rather well seen. And over the years, the Abbas family grows since Chabar brings his younger brother Anish Hasnain from Pakistan, as well as several nephews so that he can help them work on the farm. It is a large farm that belongs to the Bartoli family, the Bartoli Pro. Since they think that this way, she will have bad courtships. At that moment, Saman is 16 years old, and she is having a very hard time leaving school since it is her first social client, and she loves to study, but she has no choice. It's her father who decides everything, and for you, the house. So, from then on, her daily life boils down to staying at home, and her mother hung out with her little brother Zain, and she get along very well, and very rarely go out to accompany her mother to do some shopping. The months pass at the farm, and Saman feels more and more suffocated or in a hurry, as I told you. She hardly ever serves me. And at the turn of a conversation with her parents, she discovers what she certainly feared the most. Her parents plan to marry her with one of her cousins in Pakistan. A marriage without their consent to both of them, since neither he nor she wants to get married. This is the worst scenario she could imagine, even if she had perhaps prepared for it unconsciously insofar as, well, she had understood that when her father had it, it was because he had other plans for her. But now, it becomes concrete. In March 20th, she tries to end her life by ingesting medication. She is saved, in extremis, but despite this, her parents maintain their wish for the bride in Pakistan. Saman did not say precisely when the wedding will take place. That said, she knows that it is inevitable. She is going to be married against her in Pakistan. She would like to ask for outside help, but she doesn't want to hurt her family, especially not her mother Natsian, to whom she is very, very attached. For example, she would like to file a complaint since she knows that she can file a complaint, but she doesn't want to hurt her mother. Weeks pass and Saman is still locked up at home. His only way out is social networks, Instagram, Facebook, stock, and in June 2020, she meets a boy on TikTok with whom she falls madly in love. And here she is smoking the only thing that she thinks is the solution to be able to escape from this perfect marriage. She steals money from her parents, a very, very large sum of, and she leaves to join this boy in Belgium. A few days later, she calls her father to pick her up in Belgium. What happened during his flight is that Salmon actually joined the boy in Belgium, a lawyer who told him that he wanted to marry him, and when she arrived, well, she realized that he was already engaged or married. So he was already with someone, and it got to her because she sincerely thought that he was single and that he could get engaged soon, get married. So she preferred to put a stop, and she called her father to pick her up since she no longer had money. The situation was already very tense with the Abbas family before running away. But Shabar is more and more convinced that it is necessary to marry his daughter very quickly, and is formal. She doesn't want to get married to her cousin from Pakistan, especially since in October 20th, Saman meets another boy on TikTok, Saki Bayu in Pakistani, 22 years old who lives near Rome. He sends messages to each other every day. He secretly talks to each other about Saman's parents. Their relationship is only by phone, since Saman is not allowed to go out, and it's a kit from more than 100 kilometers from her house. But he falls in love very quickly. It is with him that Saman does not want to be, not with his cousin from Pakistan. But a few weeks after getting to know Saqib, she discovers in her parents' documents a plane ticket in his name, heading to Pakistan for the month of December, set for December 22nd. That is to say, a few days after his majority. So here, I might as well tell you that for Saman it's panic since she realizes that in a little over a month, she will be married against her will in Pakistan with her cousin, who himself does not want to marry her. He is 11 years older than her. It's not the same generation. They don't know each other, and then they don't even want to be with each other, and she refused this marriage several times. She told her father that she didn't want to marry her cousin, and now she realizes that her parents plotted behind her back to marry her like a few days after her 8th birthday, so that it doesn't fall under the law. So she's completely panicked. She approaches the social services of New Ara, and, she tells them what she lives at home. She tells them about her daily life, about the violence from his father when he is drunk, since his father is used to drinking a little more than reason. So, in those moments he becomes very violent with her. He also shows himself violent with his mother when she tries to defend him. And then, she also tells another episode that took place following his runaway in June 2020. So her father left to pick her up, and, when he got home he was very, very upset with her, about the stolen money, about the runaway, and so on. And, one day he picked up a knife and he swung it in his direction. And it was his little brother Zane who intercepted the knife by putting his hand so as not to let the knife land, on his head or on his body. So he was very seriously injured. That said, Shabar didn't want us to take Zane to the hospital, so he was treated at home. And she also tells about all the psychological harassment that she is subjected to on a daily basis. All because she can't marry her cousin from the Baptist. Insofar as Saman is not yet of legal age, she's taken care of by social services, and when her parents are summoned, Shabard explains that indeed things are going more and more badly at home with her running away. She leaves in peanuts. So we remove her from her parents, and place her in a child protection home on November 13th. And in the aftermath, she files a complaint against her parents for attempted forced marriage. She even confides a lot to her mother about her situation. He knows about her home, and that she is now emptying into a home to escape this forfeited marriage. He supports her. And in January 2020, he meets for the first time, and it is obvious for him, as for her. They are in love. They want to get married together. Sakyopadastan's family works in Italy. He lives in a cooperative to shelter near Rome, and from their meeting, regularly travels to Rome to spend a few days with Sakib. The weeks pass, and now it seems to me quite happy. She lives in her home near Bologna. She is being followed by social assistants. She is living her love fully with Sakib, we will say. That said, she needs to think about her future, since she will soon have the social worker who has been following her since she was placed in the home ask her what she wants to do. Saman wishes to resume his studies and pass his license. She is therefore re-educated in Bologna. She is even enrolled in a driving school, but she needs her papers, whether to pass her school exams or her driving license. The problem is that these papers are her parents, and, the relationship with her parents has been very, very complicated since she was removed from their home. Despite everything, she complained to me about the relations with them through social assistance. This is normal. They are her parents. But, Chabar recently discovered via social networks that she frequents Fakib, and that makes him few. Fakib wants to marry. Clearly, he wants to marry her. He wants to introduce himself to Samain's parents. But, Chabar was formal. He said to his daughter, "There is no way that you will marry this boy. The one you will marry is your cousin in Pakistan." For Saman, it comes in through one ear, far, far through the other. The idea of marriage with her cousin, she was adamant. She does not want to marry him. That's what she wants to marry, but despite that, she wants, we'll say, to restore a little more normal relations with her parents. She loves her mother dearly. She's very attached to her little brother. But for the moment, it is Shabard who is blocking. He is the one who decides everything and for everything in the family. So this situation is weighing Samain down a lot. It's clear. That said, for the moment, it was this. Two objectives seem a little more important to him. Resume his schooling and pass his license. She would also like to move to a city near Sakib's house in order to get closer to him at least. All these projects she has in mind. She needs her identity papers. On April 11th, 2021, Samane was from the home where she is placed to return to her parents in Nouvelle Ar. She wants to make peace with them and get her papers back. But her father refuses, even shows himself violent with her. He slaps her, goes to the gendarmerie to file a complaint and ask for their help since she really needs her papers. There, the gendarmes explain to him that they will do what is necessary. They tell him, "Don't worry, we're going to go to your father's. We're going to get all this. But for now, go back to your home." On the same day, rather than return to her home, her mother takes a train and she goes to Rome to join Sakib. And there, she tells him about what happened. She is very annoyed at the idea of not being able to get her papers back, but Fakib reassures her. He tells her, "Don't worry, we will find a solution over time. We will find one." And they are so happy to meet again that it leaves like even the wedding dress and the internet. During these few days it helps me maintain the link with Natsiem, her mother, since she's very close to her. She thinks that Nadia will be able to intercede in her favor with her father, and sails her offering her the island. She tells him, "Listen, come home for a while. We'll find a solution. We'll give you your papers. But don't worry. Don't leave like that anywhere. Especially since, well, when she left for Rome, Saman didn't warn her household that she was leaving. So even her social worker is looking for her." So, talking to his mother there will calm him down. She says to herself, "Okay, well, I'm going to go home, then maybe Dad will calm down a little and maybe I could finally get my papers, and especially, maybe he will finally accept that I pushed Hakib." She returns to her parents on April 20th, but again her father refuses to give her his papers, and he puts the topic of marriage with his cousin in Pakistan back on the table. Sama returns to the gendarme to explain to them that she absolutely needs her papers, and again we tell her, "Don't worry, we'll help you get your papers, but go back to your home." The problem at that time is that it has been leading to her home since April 11th. She didn't warn them that she wouldn't be coming home. And, at home, well, let's say there are rules. We can't, go home like this, like it's a... From Geneva, and insofar as Saman celebrated her 8th birthday on December 18th, she is no longer under child protection. She is of legal age. So she is crossed off the list of occupants of the home, and the social worker who has been following her since the start is unable to reach her. She even contacted her to ask her where Saman is and told her, "Ben, listen, she is not with me in Rome." So, the social thinks that maybe Saman has gone back to her parents, or maybe she is hiding in Rome, but that she will be back in the next few days, and, in that case, she would have to have at least a place somewhere so as not to end up on the street. So she makes a request for placement in another home in Bologna, and, there, the transfer is underway. Even if it is not yet finalized, is in progress. I'm telling you this because it's going to matter a little for the future. On Saturday, April 30th, 2021, Shaman, who is at her parents' house, exchanges messages with, and she explains to him that she plans to tell her parents about him again. She wants her father to accept their marriage. She will do everything to get him to accept. And, she explained to him that she would see him on May 4th. So, she wants to spend the weekend with her parents, and on the 4th of May, he will come to visit to see him. They exchange messages all day, in the afternoon, in the evening, but on the night of April 30th, it does not escape the next day. The social workers of the home in which they lived until April 11th are not worried about her absence, since on the one hand Samain is of legal age. On the other hand, she has run away since April 11th. As for the new home in which she has been placed, well, then again, no one is worried about her absence since it has not yet been carried out. Days pass and no one seems to have noticed that his illness disappeared. We have to wait until May 5th, that is, 5 days later. Sakib contacts the gendarmerie to tell them that he has not heard from his fiancée since the evening of April 30th. He is very worried. Fatim is already known to the Carabinieri since he was heard the previous year as a witness when Saman filed a complaint against his parents, and he himself filed a complaint against Chabar in February 2021 because he threatened him by phone. He even told her if he would hurt his family in Pakistan if he didn't leave his daughter alone. Saki explains to me that Samuel was at his parents' house on April 30th. They talked all day together until late in the evening, and then the next morning he woke up and he saw that Samuel had sent him an audio at 23:30. So he listened to it, and in this audio it tells him that she is very worried, that she is very, very afraid, since she heard her parents talking between them about putting her to death, clearly said that as far as she did not follow the traditions well, they had to be killed. She is tetchy. She doesn't know what to do, and she asks to notify the gendarmerie within 48 hours if he hasn't heard from her. That's it. That I love you. The Carabinieri of New Ara will be in the house of the Abbas for this story to clarify and hand over a summons to as part of his daughter's family. But when he arrives, he finds only Danish, Shamain's uncle, and Zain, Shamain's little brother. Banish explains to them that Famam's parents had to go to Pakistan for an emergency. That said, he doesn't know where his niece is, but according to him, boyfriend Fakib knows about it. The Carabinieri interrogate the boss of the operation, Bartoli, who is therefore Chabar's employer, and, Bartolomeo tells them that he had the last round at the helm on the phone, and in fact, he had to leave hastily to Pakistan since one of his sisters is very ill. And for Shaman, Shabar explained to him that she had gone to live in Belgium. That's all he does. A few days later, the Carabinieri returned to the Abbas family's house, but this time it is completely empty. Shaman's uncle, Danish, and his little brother, Zain, have flown away, and they are not the only ones since Shaman's two cousins who live nearby, who worked in the exploitation with Shabar, also disappeared. 28 years old and 32 years old. It feels bad. Very bad. The prosecutor's office is immediately seized for disturbing disappearance. The prosecutor asks that we recover the images from the surveillance cameras of Milan airport, the days following the supposed date of Saman's disappearance. And what we can see there is Nazia and Shabard taking the plane to Pakistan very early in the morning of May 1st, just a few hours after Shaman disappeared, and their 2 tickets were bought by Danish 2 days earlier. And seeing these images, what it suggests is that it is a premeditated flight. So she didn't urgently go to Pakistan to treat a sick woman as he claimed. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bought a ticket before May 1st. It doesn't make sense. And again, this is a very bad sign. An international arrest warrant is immediately launched against Chab, his wife Nazia, his brother Anish, his 2 nephews, Ikram and Nomanulak, and Shaman Zain's younger brother. On May 9th, Danish and Zain were arrested during a road check in Imperia, a town near the French border. Danish manages to escape but not to Heine, and he ends up giving his true identity to the there we make the connection with the disappearance of Saman. He is heard as part of the investigation, and he ends up confessing that his mother is dead, and he says that it was his uncle Danish who killed him. Explains that on April 30th an argument broke out at their house. Arguing with her father, she wanted to get her papers. Shabar didn't want them from her, so, Shaman took her backpack to leave. She was upset, and, when she started to take the direction of the door of the house to leave, Shabar called his little brother Danny, who also lives on the farm not far from their house, and he asked her to come urgently. Danish arrived and explains that he made sure not to go in front of the security cameras of the house so as not to be filmed. He says that Danish certainly strangled his windfall since Danish then returned to the house with Saman's backpack. Saman wasn't with him, so he killed him in the case, but Zaimi says he didn't have any weapons on him, so he thinks he strangled him. And, he has that when his father understood that Danish was coming to kill Shaman, he burst into tears, since he surely didn't expect Danik to kill Shaman. And Zain explains that if he hasn't spoken up until then, it's because he was terrified of his uncle. He says that he is a very dangerous man, that he threatened to kill him too if they told the gendarmes about what he had done, and he even says that he wanted to see his sister one last time to kiss her, and Danish told him that he would not tell her where the body was. If we believe the testimony of Saman's little brother, she was therefore killed on the farm. So her body must necessarily be there. Hundreds of Carabinieri firefighters mobilized to search the entire farm. We bring back tracking dogs, a georadar, the condos are screened, but no trace of Shaman, and no trace of the 5 fugitives either. But on May 21st, Ikrani Jazz, one of Shaman's cousins, is arrested in a flexibus in Nîmes in the south of France. He was about to join Barcelona with false papers. At that time, the French police did not know his identity and he was arrested because he had no papers. But on May 29th, the investigators make the rapprochement thanks to the European database. Ikrami Jazz is wanted in Italy for murder and hiding a corpse. So what has happened in the meantime is that there have been searches in the holding, and on May 25th, the prosecutor's office asked that he seize the recordings from the surveillance cameras in the holding and in front of the Abbas's house, and when they viewed the images, they saw very, very disturbing things. On April 29th at 1915, we can see Shaman's uncle Danish and 2 of his cousins, Nomanulak, and Ikrani Jazz, leave the warehouse to go towards the fields with shovels, a bucket, a plastic bag, and a ketchi. He then returns home from the base 2 hours later. On the night of April 30th at midnight 10, we can see that even leaving the house with his parents. She's carrying a backpack. The 3 of them head to the case, and then a few minutes later, Nazia returns to the house without Saman. Then a few hours later, Nadia packs up at Milan airport and embarks for Pakistan. A plane ticket bought 2 days earlier is why when the French police discover an Ikram Ali's identity on May 29th, he finds that he is wanted for murder and hiding a corpse in Italy, since meanwhile, the prosecutor's office concluded thanks to these images that it had actually killed me and that his body had been hidden. That said, when he was questioned by the police, he categorically denies having done anything. He says that if he left Italy very hastily, I think he wanted to find a better job in Spain. On May 30th, while the investigations continue and the Carabinieri continue to search the farm, the Italian newspaper Arresto del Carlino manages to reach Shabard, who is in Pakistan, and tells them that he knows about a new tree going on, but he claims that Saman is alive. He got his news 2 days earlier on Instagram. She has gone to live in Belgium. She is doing well. He and his wife have not fled Italy. They had to urgently go to Pakistan to assist one of her sisters who is very ill, but that he promises that they will be back in Italy to get this whole story straight. In the meantime, the entire entourage of the Abbas family, who still lives in Italy, is bugged. And on June 7th, the prosecutor's office decides to put Shabar, his wife Nazia, from Anish, Ikram and Nomanulak in the register of ingots. That is, they are officially suspected of being the perpetrators of Shaman's murder. We still haven't found the body, of course, but what happened is that the day before, on June 6th, the prosecutor's office intercepted a conversation between Shabar and his brother-in-law, who lives in Italy, and in this conversation he killed his daughter to save her honor. 2 days later, on June 9th. So Samain's cousin, who was arrested in the Flexibus in Nimes and extradited to Italy. He is interrogated and he maintains his first statements. He has done no harm to his hand, and he does not due to the troubles of Anik and Nomano Lake. But on September 22, 2021, the French police arrest Anish in the Paris region. He was hiding in an apartment in Garges-les-Gonesse. When he was arrested, he tried to make it look like he wasn't, but the head is the same. So it's him, and the fingerprints then confirmed his identity. The police had managed to trace him thanks to his social networks, since he continued to use his social networks, and there they had discovered that hidden in Garges-les-Gonesse. Danish is handed over to the Italian authorities. He is interrogated at length, but he denies any involvement. We tell him about the accusations of Zain, who accuses him of being Samain's murderer, but Dalic explains that he would have done no harm to hurt. She was his favorite niece. He adored her. He says he thought she had run away. That's why he hadn't worried about her disappearing for him. She hadn't disappeared. And we told him, okay, but why did you flee then? Italy? He explains that he did not flee Italy. He was simply looking to improve his lifestyle. He just wanted to find better working conditions in France. That's why he left. And he adds that if Zain accuses him of being Saman's murderer, it is because he conspired with Shabar. His brother is banned. In Pakistan, they have family land, so a family inheritance. Danish explains that Shabar wants to have him arrested and imprisoned so that he can recover these plots of land in Pakistan. The prosecutor says, okay, why not? But, in these cases, it is necessary to explain the images of the previous day. On the 29th we see, and with gardening tools, go in the direction of the farm grounds and return 2 hours later. What? 2 hours to do what? With equipment that is presumably used to dig a hole. Danish explains to them that it's not at all what they think that night. He had to do gardening, nothing else. Well, I might as well tell you that for the prosecutor's office, this explanation is far-fetched. In September 2021, the Italian justice submits an extradition request to Pakistan, although at the moment have still not been arrested. Pakistani journalists went to the village of Sharanwala, where the Abbas's family home is, but there was no one there. It is assumed that they are hidden by members of their family. Months pass, and still no trace of Samain's body on the farm or of his parents in Pakistan. But on February 14, 2022, the second cousin involved and intercepted Barcelona, and he is arrested. He too has done the least harm to his, and when he is presented before a Spanish judge, he refuses to be handed over to the Italian authorities. He therefore remains incarcerated in Spain. So there are only 2 people left to be arrested, Shabar and Nazia, Shaman's parents. But they are still in Pakistan, and the justice system has no control over what is happening there. They can't send Carabinieri to arrest them. Logical. That said, in Italy, the ambassador of Pakistan is involved in the investigation and, he explains to the Italian justice system that he is trying to make a buffer for Pakistan to proceed with the arrests of Shabar and Nazia, even if it is quite complicated, and even if at this stage he thinks that they will be protected in Pakistan so as not to be brought to justice. But on November 15, 2022, The new grave, Chabar has just been arrested by the Pakistani police in Chahanwala. He's being referred to a Pakistani judge in order to answer his questions as part of the Italian investigation. And now he claims that the one who kidnapped to kill his daughter is none other than her boyfriend. He claims that he and his family had nothing to do with Shaman's disappearance. But on November 8, 2022, a coup d'état. After a little over a year of waiting, the truth finally comes out. Danish reveals the place where the body of she was buried 700 meters from the house of the Abbas. Saman was actually killed on the night of April 30th. But hey, we already suspected that given the telephone intercepts, a body is found at the indicated location at a depth of 2 meters, and the autopsy reveals that it is Shaman. The medical examiner was able to identify him thanks to his mound. The autopsy reveals that the osioid was fractured on the left side, which suggests that Saman was strangled, so this would be the cause of his death. According to Danish, on the strength of April 30th, it was not Chabar who killed Samani, it was Nazia. It was his nephews that he would have entrusted it to him a few hours after the murder. Dania says he simply helped transport the body. That said, did not help at the funeral. It was, according to him, beyond his strength. The body could not be found during the previous excavations because the terrain is not easy to access, and the dogs had had great difficulty accessing this place. That's why they never smelled the corpse. The trial of the 5 accused opened on February 23, 2023 at the Assizes of Emilia, or very recently, and for this crime, he risks life imprisonment. Despite a request from the Italian justice, Shabarabas has still not been extradited to Italy. Mazia, meanwhile, is nowhere to be found. The only ones who are physically present are therefore Ikram and Nomano Lak. Since Pakistan Shabar, he is represented by, his lawyer for trial, and, he maintains that the person who kidnapped and killed his daughter is Sakiba. As for Saki Bayuk, he filed a civil lawsuit that said he did not ask for financial compensation, as he could do in his capacity as a fiancé. He's just asking for justice to be done for Saman. And he also asked Italy if it was possible to urgently repatriate his family to Italy since he fears reprisals. According to him, is a very dangerous man who has links with the local matter in Pakistan, so he fears for the life of his parents. Shaman's little brother and now Major Slady wishes to preserve his anonymity. That's why I'm not giving you his real first name. So, Zane finally assumed first name, and he doesn't want to testify during the trial. He's already done it in front of the prosecutor. But, he says he fears for his life, and he maintains that the one who killed his sister is Danish. What is important to emphasize is that this case of the living, the extended Abbas family, that is to say that there are those who think that it was actually Banif who killed Saman without Shabar knowing. So respect for the overzealousness for them. Shabar is also somewhere a victim in this whole story. And there are those who say on the contrary that Danish would never have killed Saman in any case. He would not have done it. His bar had not asked him. As for the 2 cousins, Ikram and Nomanal, they are maintaining their first version at the time I am talking to you. So at the time, they never did Shaman any harm. They were not aware of the murder. In any case, in the coming weeks, the Italian justice system will have to rule on the role that everyone played in the murder of Faman Abbas. This 8-year-old girl, killed in the spring of 2021 because she wanted to marry the one she loved. Well, if you put it in this part, I'm very happy about it since it means that you watched the entire video. As usual. I have to tell you that I was very interested in this case, and the first point I wanted to emphasize is the effectiveness of the international investigation. I think it was done very well, very quickly, and it's always a pleasure to see a coordination like that. So well. Listen, they have all been arrested, except, Chabar and, Nazia, who are still in Pakistan at the time I'm talking to you. I don't care, the bar is stopped, And that he is, brought to justice, but by video conference system. And, concerning, little Samain, I confess that I was but so saddened for her because I basically told myself she just wanted to marry the one she loved. And finally, after I can't understand that we force people to marry each other. I know that in the Muslim religion, since I am of the Muslim faith, it is forbidden to force people to marry. It is one of the very conditions for, that the marriage is valid, it is to have the consent of both the girl and the boy. So, I admit to you that this is something that I can't figure out. Then, I don't think it's related to religion for now. I have the impression that it's more compared to there's more of an economic region behind it. In any case, that's what I thought of when I was writing my plot, because I thought back to Danny's words. I think he told the police, yeah, it's a conspiracy. My brother wants to accuse me of being in the mood to recover my plots of land in Pakistan. Well, in fact, I'm saying that indeed maybe Chabar wanted his daughter to marry his cousin of the pastry chef to preserve the plots of land between them. I know that it would be something that was done at the time, like when we didn't want the inheritance to have problems and be scattered. We made sure that cousins married each other to preserve, the inheritance. In any case, it's a trick. Okay, thought. So I tell myself that the reason she was, rather economic, which seems to me, very, very serious, because basically it means for money. Your daughter, you make her unhappy, but hey. And the thing that also hurt my heart is, behavior Nazia Semene's mother. So yes, many say that she was, we will say, submissive, that she listened to her husband and so on, but that's not a reason actually. It's your daughter, if the last resort for a child. He will not, don't find it in his mother's arms. I don't really see where he can find this last resort. And it's true that it always hurts me to see various facts or mothers hurt their children, or that they don't protect them, because for me, the mother is the last resort. Like when your mom is wobbly or she's a monster, who do you turn to? Well, shit is normally the last bulwark. After, well, maybe some people will understand, others won't, but anyway, it's my opinion, but it made my heart hurt too much. And I'm glad, that the Pequist Justice is doing the job, because they have been criticized a lot. I saw some stuff, I was reading a fact sometimes when I read articles. I also watch a little bit of the comment part, even if we shouldn't do that because people are completely degenerate, and I could see the way people treated it was, but really vomiting. How you can insult like that without any qualms when you don't even know them. But then listen, Pakistan made them, close their cache, as they say, because they arrested Chabar. Then will he be sentenced? I have hope, because the Pakistani judge was, enough, we will say that she said that she would not leave, in the sense that it is, precisely, to set an example. So, as they want to set an example, in my opinion, that's where they're not going to let it slip. So, I have hope. Now for Nazia, I have a little less hope, because, since she is a woman and she is Semane's mother, many will certainly think that they were just following her husband's orders, that there was no choice, and that therefore she is not responsible, for what her husband did. I don't necessarily agree with that, but then it will be up to Pakistan to decide, what to do. I really hope that they will, respond to the extradition request. Anyway, I'll update you on all this. So from now on, the updates, I will make them to you in the format. Don't hesitate to put a little like under the video, but above all, don't hesitate to subscribe. It's even better. I say, see you very well.